Hello, my dear friends. I've been thinking a lot about you lately. We're going through a quite challenging time, aren't we? I had to cancel my trip to Europe uh, and somehow take the measures that are necessary to protect ourselves, but also protect our friends and particularly the elders who might be very vulnerable to this sickness. So we all have to take care and take care in every sense of the word. We have to take care of ourselves, but we also have to take care of our neighbors to make sure that everybody in our community is safe and sound. And so even if we cannot contact each other physically, be present together for our meditation, it is very important to maintain the connection between all of the members of our body path family or body path fellowship so that we know who needs help so that we can respond with a loving heart and intelligence. So I'm sure you're all aware of that. I can see that progressively the body path are applying the same restrictions, closing the center, trying to move on to a more sort of a digital way of communicating using internet like I'm doing right now, YouTube, social medias, but also telephone or texting. Just, like people don't feel isolated, um, and they feel that if they need, they can count on the friends. So that's the very important thing. The first thing is make sure that you're safe, make sure that your family is safe, and make sure that you know what's going on with your friends. And if they need help, how you can help. Just be prepared with that. There is, several options when such a challenge comes to us. One is to sort of like reject the world, and that's what I call the Howard Hughes strategy. We're sort of like locking ourselves in our little ivory tower and storing toilet paper. That's not going to work. The other option is to be sort of a bravado-like type of person, says like, I don't care, I'm in denial, this doesn't exist. I can lick the post in the subway or the railing. I'm not afraid. This is stupid bravado. So we have to find, as usual, our middle way. Our middle way is not to succumb to panic and not to be careless. This is basically the advice that the Java Karmapa gave us in his last letters. Do not succumb to panic, but be careful. So that's the general advice. How are we going to work with this situation as Buddhists? The advice of Karmapa is to deepen our understanding and more than understanding our experience of the basic notions that are the foundation of Buddhist view and Buddhist practice, Buddhist lifestyle. That is the four Dharma seals. Every phenomena is impermanent. So we don't have to live in the illusion that nothing will change, that we will never be sick, or that we will not die. This sort of common delusion that affects a lot of people who are not aware, cannot, or do not want to become aware of impermanence. So this is really a moment to reflect deeply on impermanence. Impermanence is not just losing what we like or the good situation. Impermanence has always a silver lining. And actually, I tend to see it more like the essential quality of impermanence. Impermanence helps us to become aware of our mortality, and that helps us to appreciate the life and the time we have and the situation we are in. That is the precious human life. We have freedom, we have assets. We're so fortunate to have the Dharma so that we can work with it. So we're in a good position. Now, it all depends on us, whether we take refuge in the Dharma, we take refuge in the Buddha, the enlightened state, as a goal, and the kindness and expertise of the Sangha, the community of spiritual friends. If we take refuge in these three, rare and supreme, we have a good foundation. We can lean on them, particularly in difficult time. When things are okay, we tend to forget them. We just, enjoy the warm shower of a happy life. When we run out of hot water, um, then we start thinking, what should I do? And then we look for side fixing. Instead of working directly with what is the cause of suffering, and here, if we come back to the four Dharma seal, the cause of suffering is the denial of impermanence. When we acknowledge impermanence, we see that we have a precious opportunity. We see also that everything leans, everything depends, everything is interconnected. So that leads us to an understanding of the nature of reality that becomes deeper and deeper every day. It begins with acknowledging impermanence, embracing transitoriness, and looking at things differently, not from the point of view of permanence, everything will stay forever as it is, but from the point of view of reality, the dance of phenomena that come and go, arise and fall according to causes and conditions. So that's the very important point. First point, we acknowledge that we are mortal. That means we're alive. We're alive. That means we're mortal. There's no way around that. That's a hard fact. The second point is every contaminated contacts are a source of suffering. What does it mean? Whenever we perceive any phenomena, any object through our senses, or we think about them, it is always in the framework of dualistic mind. And somehow every instance of consciousness strengthens the delusion of duality. The perceiving mind is seen as an object that knows, or becomes the subject, and by extension becomes me, and the phenomena that are perceived as having their own inner substance, reality, and there's sort of like a dialogue between the two, and we fail to see the interdependent production, how all phenomena arise in this interdependent manifestation. Thinking about impermanence will help us to understand that it is not the case. Things are not solid, substantial, independent. And then when we begin to see that, we realize that the suffering doesn't come from so-called outer object or situations, but from the lack of understanding or the deluded way of perceiving what we assume is reality. So that's another object that we should contemplate, interdependent origination. And if we don't contemplate interdependent origination, we are under the power of the delusion of duality. Okay? That leads us to the third point of the third Dharma seal, which is all phenomena are devoid of any substantial, permanent, and lasting reality. This is just the conclusion that comes to your mind quite naturally when you've been thinking about impermanence and you've been contemplating interdependent origination and how suffering comes from the denial of this or the ignorance of this reality. So when we come to really sit through our practice of calm abiding, we become less passionate about objects. We see them coming and going, and we can just remain in equipoise observing them. Then we can move to vipassana, where we question what is the alleged solidity of the object, what is the alleged solidity of the perceiving mind, and then, thirdly and most important, what is the interaction between the two. We come to realize that nothing stands or exists in and of itself, but only appears pretty much like an illusion or an optical illusion or like a mirage through the coming together of different causes and conditions. Each of these causes and conditions coming together through other causes and conditions. Therefore, all phenomena are empty, that is, devoid of any substantial, independent reality. And then fourthly, maybe the most important, the mind that goes beyond this duality, the mind that abides in the experience of the true nature of reality, far from negating phenomena arising and disappearing, experiences the coming and going of phenomena as an interdependent play and sees the emptiness, and seeing the emptiness also understand the endless possibilities that manifestation can deploy, such as pure lands, enlightened activity for the benefit of beings. All will spring from this realization. So that's the fourth one. Nirvana beyond extreme. Nirvana beyond the discredit of nihilism and the embellishment of materialism. This nirvana beyond extreme is peace. This is the cessation of suffering. This is our goal. This is Buddhahood. Buddha, the enlightened state. That's what we're aiming at as Buddhists. So if we can study, deepen our practice, understanding of the four Dharma seals, then everything in this world will bring us back to the path. This is what in mind training we call Lamso Kyer in Tibetan, bringing life to the path. It is not disconnected, our life. And here in our situation, the difficulty, the possible sickness that some of us will have to experience is not disconnected from our path. It's actually, to some extent, we could say the greatest opportunity of our life of not to be lazy and thinking that, oh, there's a way around it. No, there's not a way around it. There's only a way through it. There's a way through it with the practice of the four seals of Dharma, with the practice of mind training, and in particular the third chapter in Rinpoche's book, Path to Awakening, with the opening slogan, when the world is full of adversity, embrace it and turn it into an opportunity for awakening, upcycling, recycling. See all objects that could be a source for the three kleshas of rejection, greed, and indifference become a platform for loving kindness, compassion, joy, and discernment. So now, as one of my old teachers, Lama Tenzang, said, it is at the moment of death that we can see who is the real practitioner. So when the push comes to the shove, we'll see if we had only ideas or if we had put this into practice by studying, reflecting, and deeply meditating, so that we have experienced a radical transformation in our outlook, how we see the world, how we see ourselves. This has been transformed. And if we have done our work, we do not succumb to panic. We are very grateful for the circumstances because they will help us to put our realization or understanding to the test. Our realization is forged through the fire of real experiences, not just acquisition of more books and words and concept. So this is the time we're in now, and we have our fellowship, our centers, and as I said to begin with, we have to work together, of course, in all safety and intelligence. We have to work together so that we help each other to go through the physical, material problem that we will have, but also through the spiritual hardships and difficulty and doubts and fear and so on and so forth. So this is the time where the community will be very important, and then we, the Dharma teachers, we stay by you. We are alone on the way to enlightenment as far as the practice is concerned, but we are not alone on the way to enlightenment, because the Sangha and the fellowship of brothers and sisters practicing together are strongly bound by the common aspiration, may all beings reach enlightenment. So more to come in the days and the weeks, and we're going to make all of this available with study material, audio recordings, things that can help you to deepen your practice. But for the time being, I think that's all I wanted to say. In a way, in my own manner, conveying the message that the Gyalwa Karmapa gave. And so now, go back to your books, go back to your study, go back to your meditation, take care, take time. Maybe that's the first time in many years that you have time. So take the time, enjoy the space, enjoy the time, and wash your hands. Much love. Namaste.